Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we're looking forward to answering your questions. Good morning, Donna. And how are you? Good to have you on. Rosalinda, Niagara Falls. Olga, good morning. Rosa, nice to have you on. Nativity. Our faithful folks, Sandra, Aurelia, Marine, good morning to you. Marlene, nice to have you on. Shirley, goodness and mercy. Rita, Wendy, good morning. And Kevin, good morning. Mary and Sharon, nice to have you on. Yolanda, bonjour. Francis Marie, Gina, and Fran, Orangeville, good morning, Fran. Grace, and Ray, and Brenda. You guys are great. We appreciate Nick from our staff. Lynn, going to be a multi-coffee day, she said. Another study came out about coffee. Doug and Liz, Jeanette from our staff, Bernice, Ruth, Pat, nice to have you on. Frida, cold and very windy, she said. Micheline, bonjour. Jeanette, bonjour. Maurice, North Bay, hi Morris. Betty, lively. AJ, how are you? Milika, and Crystal, and Ronaldo, Diane, T-Bay, Thunder Bay, Vera, Newfoundland. You guys are great. We appreciate you. Nidal and Julie. Okay, well, let's get to these questions. Maria and Nancy. And I don't want to miss anyone, but I got it. Gloria, 88 in San Antonio, Texas today. Wow, 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 wow. Jeanette, Barbara, Crystal. Okay, let me get to my questions here. And let me see. What's the first question here this morning? And here we go. Okay. Rafaela is asking about serrapeptase for inflammation, in my case for frozen shoulder and MS. I like serrapeptase. They are enzymes. They're called proteolytic enzymes. And I like that, serrapeptase. Can I be honest, Rafaela? I like our inflammation formula better. Okay. Just because it has, I put 8 anti-inflammatories in there that I find to be more effective. But I used serrapeptase in the past, and I certainly have no trouble with it. I do like it. They're called proteolytic enzymes. No name. Well, I don't know who asked this question, but is it okay to drink ozone water? Yeah, I guess so. Look, the best water in the world is mineral water, okay? Mineral water. So, spring water. It has minerals in it. A lot of things in the market are what they call purified water. So they run it through a filter, and sometimes they'll add some minerals back in it. But at the end of the day, nature's water is mineral water. If you're going to drink water from the tap, I recommend you do filter it. And the other thing I do recommend is put a little pinch of Himalayan salt in it, because that'll bring its pH up. You don't have to spend a lot of money, on like what they call alkaline water and ozone water, and look, if you want, you can. But don't believe all the hype about it. Water is water, and the best is mineral water, spring water, and I'm big on that. And you need 2 liters of it a day. Minimum. 2 liters of water a day. Okay? That's the sweet spot of water. Okay? That's the sweet spot. How do I know that? 46 years in practice. That's the sweet spot for 99.9% of the population. Some people drink more than that, but in my opinion, should never drink less than that. Okay? Good questions. We appreciate them. Marnie, love to hear Doc's thoughts on magnesium in healing insulin resistance. Okay, and then is or can needing less magnesium for overall well-being be a sign of increased insulin sensitivity? Well, look, I like magnesium. I talk about it a lot. It's important. It's involved in about 300 different, body functions, metabolic functions. So magnesium's important. I'm big on it. Okay? Now, if you're asking about what it does for insulin resistance, look, here's what I'm going to say first, Marnie. That you cannot out-supplement a bad diet. So if someone is insulin resistant, 88% of the population, that's just the fact. 88% of the population have some form of metabolic syndrome, which is caused by insulin resistance. It's food. So the first thing is you got to fix food. Now, I take magnesium. I like magnesium. Does it help in that area? Yeah. But again, if you're very well metabolically, you're part of that 12%. I think I am. And so, yeah, sure, I supplement. But like I said, Marnie, don't, and I think you know this, but like magnesium, I know there's a lot of gurus out there that talk about magnesium being, the be all and end all. I don't see it. It is really good though, okay? Because you know that. I talk about it. Does it fix insulin resistance? No, not on its own. It doesn't. And if you happen to be very sensitive to insulin, is what our goal is with folks. When you eat well, you need a lot less insulin. Magnesium is part of that, but I wouldn't say it's the biggest part of that. I hope I answered your question, Marnie. Maxine, what does Dr. Martin think of allergy illumination therapy? Is it allergy elimination therapy or illumination therapy? Because illumination therapy, I've never heard of. Okay? So Maxine, if, get back to me on the question, because allergy elimination therapy, I agree with, okay? And with food, do the elimination diet, be a doctor, be your own doctor. Eliminate something, that's what I always say with Dr. Mums. Mom, you're the doctor at home. Your kid seems to be always stuffed up or ear infection after ear infection or whatever. Start eliminating foods. See if milk is bothering them. See if, if certain things are bothering them. Eliminate them. Here's what I found to be numero uno in terms of when people, this is one of the reasons the reset is so good, because usually it's amazing that when you eliminate almost all sugars and carbohydrates, it's amazing how much better allergies get, food intolerances get. You know why? Because you're regenerating that gut. You're giving the gut the chance to heal. And you're giving your body the nutrients it needs. So if it's elimination therapy, I like it. Illumination, I've never heard of it, honest. In 46 years of practice, I'd never heard of it. So I could look it up, but I want to know which one you were asking about for sure, Maxine, okay? Catherine, is A2 milk good for you? Look, you know me. The only time I want you to drink milk is if you have a cow in the backyard, and even then. You know, human beings are the only people, are the only, animals that drink milk once they're not a baby anymore. And I'm big on, why do you need milk? Like, I like cream in your coffee. And if you're going to make Dr. Martin's perfect smoothie, you know me. If you want to use A1 or A2, a little bit of milk, the only problem is, like, the A1, I believe, is because it gets rid of calcium, right? The protein in milk. But that's not the issue. It's the lactose. It's the amount of sugar when they eliminate the fat. But your kids, your grandchildren, wean them on water. They need water. They don't need milk. They need mommy's milk. They need breast milk. And when they're finished with that, they need water. Not, because that was, of course, and I understand the farmers, they want people to drink their milk. And I'm the farmer's best friend. I'm the farmer's best friend. Okay? But if you're going to have a glass of milk every once in a while and it's full fat milk, well, go for it. But I'm not big on that. I'm not big on it. You can't make me. Andrea, melatonin for sleep. Well, look, your body makes melatonin. Okay? And Andrea, so just understand that. Here's how your body makes melatonin. You see the sun, Viderma? Your body makes melatonin. That's why I tell people, don't put your sunglasses. It's a sunny day in the middle of winter. It's 40 below zero. Your body makes melatonin when it sees the sun. Your body makes it. Okay? It comes out of your what? Your third eye, your pineal gland, when it sees the sun. Now, the other time that your body makes melatonin, interesting, isn't it? When it's pitch black. So when you go to bed, no lights. You got kids? Don't let them be scared of the boogeyman and you keep a light on, because they're not making melatonin. You wean them on water and you wean them on a very, very dark room. When they get used to it, they'll sleep better because they're going to make melatonin. Now, you asked me a question, Andrea, about melatonin as a supplement. I'm not that big on it. I'll tell you why. Because it has, look, for some people, melatonin, they find it to be good. It helps sleep as a supplement. And then, okay, and this has just been my experience, it sort of has a shelf life, meaning that after a little bit, it doesn't work so much anymore. So you're much better off getting in the sun And that's, you make melatonin whether you're getting, whether it's 40 below or 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? Because if the sun's out, you make melatonin as long as you let your eye, don't look in the sun, but just the sunlight. And then dark room at night. So you actually make it on your own. And that's important, okay? So, but again, if you want to try melatonin as a supplement, I got no problem with that. Can I be honest? I like our cortisol formula for sleep better. Because it really goes at the root issues of people that have insomnia. It's usually because their cortisol is too high. And cortisol will affect your melatonin. Okay, we talked about that the last few days and what it does to your sleep. Good question, Andrea. Thank you. Betty, why does everyone recommend liver to eat when it's the filter system of junk and then we eat junk? I like that. Betty, you are thinking. I like you. You are smart. Okay, but that's it. Okay, because I always talk to you about the liver being filtered, but you don't eat human livers. You wouldn't want to eat a human liver today. Why is that? Well, look, you have this idea that all those toxins stay in the liver, but they only stay in the liver in a fatty liver. See, when you got a filtering system in your body, you have toxins coming through like heavy metals and garbage, but they'll only stay in the liver if you have fatty liver, because the fat is what attracts the toxins. But a cow, for example, if you're going to eat, calf liver or whatever, they don't have toxins in there. The body eliminates that because they don't have fatty liver. Human beings get fatty liver, and they're not supposed to get fatty liver. And human beings get cirrhosis of the liver. Animals don't. We get it because we drink too much alcohol. And actually, fatty liver is very similar because it's called non-alcoholic fatty liver. And the reason we get that is because of fructose, high fructose corn syrup. And even kids have it. But we're not eating, Betty, human livers. Okay? Don't eat that. Because human beings are eating the wrong things and they get fatty liver, and fatty liver is what holds on to toxins. Not a cow's, I was reading an article yesterday. I actually might pontificate on this. What tribe was it? Hazardal, or I can't even remember the name of the tribe. And someone followed them as a research project for months and months. Lived with them, I think, 13 months or whatever. I'll do a little bit deeper dive on it, but it was interesting. The first thing they eat, if they get a deer, if they get an antelope, and they were eating a lot of baboons. Okay, well, no, but they're still primitive, but they're very healthy, But the first thing they do, and this guy was saying, the first thing they do is they get the liver of any animal, and that's the first thing they eat. Then they eat the heart, then they eat their brain, then there's ooh, I couldn't handle that. But you see what I'm saying, Eddie? Like their livers are clean because they don't eat what we eat, garbage. Okay, good question. Good question, though. I'm Betty. I'm glad you're thinking like that. Debbie, what about the coronary calcification test? Yeah, if your doctor orders it, good. You shouldn't have to tell your doctor to order a CAC test, okay? Because if they're worried about your heart and your coronary arteries, ordinarily they're doing it. But I'm going to tell you something. The best test that you can get way ahead of time, way before things get calcified around your coronary arteries, the best thing is to find out what your triglycerides are and what your HDL is. That's the key. Okay, that's the key. Now, am I against that coronary calcification test? Nah, of course, I'm not against that test. But if you have that, you better start eating butter with vitamin K2 in it to get rid of the calcium out of your arteries. Okay? Good question. Okay. Tina, what do I do with hand cramps? Well, if you're getting hand cramps, you're dehydrated. And when I say dehydration, it's not just water. It's electrolytes. Magnesium is an electrolyte. Potassium is an electrolyte. That's why I like Himalayan salt. You know what's a real good thing too that I really like? Pickle juice. Pickle juice. It's very great an electrolyte drink. I find it to be very effective. So if you're getting spasms and cramping, it may be in your hands. A lot of people get them in their legs. I have to be very careful because I dehydrate very quickly. When I work out, okay, I don't sense myself as being a guy that does a lot of sweating, but oh boy, if I don't keep up with my electrolytes. And you know what I don't like? I don't like Gatorade. I can't stand that stuff. It's full of artificial everything. I don't like it. Okay? I would rather you take some pickle juice, and it really makes a big difference with dehydration. Because people think of dehydration as only water. Yeah, water's, huge. But if you're getting cramping and you need electrolytes, and I like pickle juice for me, okay? Vicky, how to get rid of tinnitus? Well, look, it's not easy, first of all. You always want to find out why you got tinnitus in the first place, you know? Do you have vertigo with it? And a lot of time, this is what I've found over the years. Two things with tinnitus. Two things. One, it's glycation. What do I mean by that? We call it glycation end products. Leave it to medicine to confuse people. But what it is, it's too much sugar. Tinnitus, ordinarily, is your body telling you you're a carboholic and a sugarholic. Now listen, you can get tinnitus because you work in a factory or whatever, and you got that loud noise over a long period of time, whatever, you can give you tinnitus. Okay, yeah, but even then, I found when I tested these people in the office that oftentimes they were insulin resistant and they had glycation. Glycation is glycation end products. When I wrote the book on the reset, I talk about glycation and how it affects joints, how it affects your skin, how it affects your middle ear, glycation. Get off the sugar. Now the other thing, the second thing I mentioned, a lot of times is and it's part of glycation too, is the blood supply to the middle ear, and I love Navitol for that. Okay, I found it, but you gotta do two things. You gotta get off this sugars, get off the carbs, do the reset. A lot of people have found that tinnitus has really got a lot better with the diet. Okay? And, okay. Thanks, Vicky. Robbie, can advanced nerve damage with neuropathy? Well, usually where you see neuropathy, not always, but usually, neuropathy comes from diabetes. It's one of the, because remember what I've said a million times. Your body don't need a lot of sugar. If you don't believe me, eat 20 donuts, and within an hour, your blood sugar will be back to just about normal. Why is that? Because your body knows that sugar is destructive. Now, the first thing that happens with sugar, if it's left unattended and in your bloodstream, will start to damage blood vessels. And blood vessels feed nerves. Okay? Your nerves don't work on their own. They need blood. The life of the flesh is in the blood. Medicine should have read the Bible, because the Bible talks about where the life is. Because for years in medicine, what were they doing? I'm talking a couple of hundred years ago, they took blood out of people because they said, oh, we got to get rid of toxins. Let's take their blood out. Nah. The only time you want to take blood out is when you got too much iron. Okay? But, okay, coming back to the question on neuropathy, is in neuropathy, okay, so now you get numbness and tingling and pain in your, usually in the peripheral joints, meaning in your feet. It's so common with diabetes. Here's what I found really helps. Numero uno, the reset. Diabetics have an allergy to carbohydrates. No sugar, no carbs. That's what they should do. Secondly, vitamin B12. Because most diabetics take metformin, and metformin gets rid of your B12 in a nanosecond. They need B12. So you give them B12. Okay? That's what, secondly. And then Navitol. I put the two together because Navitol, what it does, it increases your nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, gives you more blood supply that are going to the nerves. Okay, got it? You guys are unreal, asking these beautiful questions because you're thinking. I like it. Can taking too many supplements, multivitamin, damage the liver? No. Look, I'm not big on you taking supplements for no reason. I'm not. I'm a big probiotic guy. I got the Fabulous 5. Okay? Just because you're not going to get enough probiotic. You need probiotic, whatever. But you take too much. This is brought to you by the pharmaceutical industry. Well, you take too much vitamins, that's going to make you sick. Nobody is in the waiting rooms of the hospitals sitting there because I'm sick like a dog and I just happen to take too many vitamins. You know what? It doesn't happen. It is a ruse. It's a red herring. It is nonsense, first of all. But I'm not telling you to take too many vitamins. Okay? I'm not telling you to do that. You know me. I want you to eat properly. And then if you really want to make an investment in your health, okay? But you can't out-supplement a bad diet, okay? You can't. Oh, doc, because people would come to my office and, I thought you were going to give me something. I thought you were just going to give me a vitamin so that, it's not going to be as easy as that, man. You got problems. You better fix them. And you got to start with the diet. You got to eat every day now. Eat the right foods. Oh yeah, but I find that hard because I like my chocolate and I like my cereals and I like my, and I don't want to change that. And I go, okay, but then I'm not going to be able to help you if you don't help yourself. But let me just say this. People are not filling the waiting rooms of Robbie with, hypervitaminosis. I think there was one case in Canada. One. that the media couldn't help themselves to pontificate on when someone, according to the hospital, had kidney stones because they took too much vitamin D. That's not what happened, but one person? Geez, there's people in Canada drink too much water. I've never seen it, but I guess it could happen. Anyway, I don't like to be facetious, but I can't handle it because I see it on a daily basis. Oh my God, I've taken too many vitamins. No, the chances are you're not taking enough and you're not eating right, properly, okay? But I'm not specifically talking to you, Robbie. I'm answering your question. Janine, does inflammation formula make you urinate more? I don't know. Look, everybody's different, right? We all got our different fingerprints. There's a reason for that, okay? Like, we're all different. And I don't like to use, well, I do. I use the word weird, but I mean unique, okay? We're all unique. I tell people, don't donate your body to science. You'll confuse them. Because you got weird, you're weird. Okay, no. Look, I hope you have a sense of humor, Janine. I'm not specifically talking to you. I'm answering a question in a general way, okay? And yeah, you know, some people, like, it's just, we're all unique in that sense, aren't we? You got a different fingerprint than me. That makes you different than me. They're even identical twins are not identical. You know what I mean? Because everybody's different. So generally I would say no. Inflammation formula doesn't make you urinate more, but maybe, you know, people can maybe answer you and say, oh, that happens to me too. I just never, I haven't heard that before, to be honest, okay? But it's possible, I guess, okay? Faith. What are Dr. Martin's advice on making flax meal bars with nuts and pumpkin seeds for a diabetic? Look, it's not the end of the world. But keeping in mind, Faye, that diabetics have an allergy to carbs. Now, seeds and nuts, you know how much I love flaxseed. I love flaxseed because of lignans. And I was reading an article yesterday on they find all these toxins now, plastic and microplastics, right in the bloodstream now. I've said this for a long time. We're never going to get away from it. So flax, what it does, it's got 100 times more lignans than any other seed or nut. And what it does is it takes that estrogen, the extra estrogen out of your body. Xenoestrogens, phytoestrogens. So, yeah, I'd be careful, Faye, okay? Because there's some carbohydrates in there. But, hey, it's certainly better than eating a chocolate bar. That's for stinking sure. So, yeah, like, I mean, I'm all right with that. But if they're diabetic, they've really got to be eating eggs, meat, and cheese and living on that. Okay? Doreen. Can I get contrast after doing an angioplasty? How do you get rid of those contrast? You know, the dyes they put into you, right? Well, one of the best ways, okay, Doreen, is to keep that liver clean. I talked about it earlier in the program. The liver is key, and your kidneys too. Flush, water, diet, because what will keep, your body knows how to get rid of that contrast. It really does, as long as it's firing on all cylinders. And your liver, keep the fat out of your liver. Now, what puts fat in your liver? High fructose corn syrup, crappy carbohydrates. That's what creates fat in the liver. Remember, it's the Costco parking lot. Empty it. Empty it. And then your body will do it. Here's another way to do it. Very good question, by the way. Another way to do it is probiotic. Do you know that you have, that's why I love broad spectrum probiotics. You know why? Because different strokes for different folks. I think that was a song. Anyway, different bacteria, like L. reuteri and L. rhamnosus. The reason I like those two in particular, one, they go after candida. And yeast in the body is what holds on to toxins in the body. That's what brings heavy metals into the brain. So when you get rid of candida, how do you get rid of candida? Okay, L. reuteri, candida formula, and don't feed the bears. Now you'll get rid of contrast, the dyes. Your body knows how to do it with a little bit of help from your friends. Well, that's a song too. Didn't the Beatles make that song? Anyway, okay? Drink water. Flush the kidneys. Niagara Falls. 24/7, you want water flowing over those kidneys to clean out the filters. Your kidneys are filters. Flush them. And only water is water. Flush them out, okay? And another thing that helps too, and I talk about this quite a bit, is glutathione. Okay? Glutathione. You know what glutathione? It's Velcro. That travels, your body makes it, by the way, when your liver is empty. And glutathione goes through your blood vessels, and it's like Velcro. The dye will stick to it. Heavy metals will stick to it, and your body get rid of it. How do you make glutathione? Navitol. It even increases your glutathione. Anyway, okay? Good question, Doreen. Monique, what are your thoughts on drinking water or coffee during the meal? Especially coffee during the meal. Okay? Why? Because it acts like metformin. Actually, there was a study came out this week again, saying, you know that Dr. Martin? Man, oh man, he's been talking about coffee for years. The study, no, it didn't say that. It just said what I said is true. It acts like metformin. It helps with your insulin. Coffee with your meal. Acts like metformin without getting the drug. Okay. Water? Well, I would drink a glass of water before you eat, not with your meal. Take a little bit of water if you have to with your meal. But before you eat, it'll fill you up. You won't eat as much. Okay? But coffee is the best, man. Coffee is the best. What would cause high vitamin D in your blood? If your liver or kidneys are in trouble, well, if your liver and kidneys are in trouble is what causes high vitamin D in your blood. See, people, you can take, here's what they've shown, okay? Here's what they've shown, Mary, and Monique was the one that asked about drinking water or coffee during the diet, during meals. Now, Mary, what would cause your vitamin D to be high? When you got kidney stress and liver, fatty liver. Your liver's gummed up. That'll elevate your vitamin D levels, not for everybody, but for people that get high vitamin D. It's not because you're taking too much vitamin D, by the way. It's not. You know why? Because the vitamin D research has shown this. In order for you to even get any kind of toxic levels, you would have to take 50,000 international units a day, every day, for 6 months. Now, who the heck does that? The best way to get vitamin D, by the way, is from the sun, okay? Because your body will never take more than it needs. from the sun. But I know that vitamin D is a supplement. It's fat, so Dr. Martin, I'm going to get toxic. And it bothers me because they don't know what they're talking about. But if your vitamin D levels are high, I like them high, by the way. But if they're too high, like let's say, in the 400s, okay, in the United States, 100 and let's say 50 or whatever. Okay, vitamin D. Well, then you got kidney problems. You got liver problems. You better fix that. It's not the vitamin D, it's you. It's you. Okay, good questions. I love you guys. Okay. Angela, what are your thoughts on legal marijuana to help relax cancer patients? Well, don't take a trip without leaving the fire. Marijuana, right? Look, if I had cancer and I had pain and that worked, I'd have no trouble with that at all, Get higher than a kite. I don't care. No, but seriously, if it works, I tell people, look, that's not really my specialty. Today, I was saying to Rosie, a little while back, I said, maybe we should get stoned, man. The way the world was, the only thing that was opening up were marijuana shops. All the other stores were closing and marijuana shop. People are getting stoned, man. I'm just joking, okay? Don't come to me and you guys got to know what I'm teasing. No, but if it works for you, hey, I got no problem. It's probably a lot better than taking a lot of the opioids and whatever else they're giving you for pain. And if that's what it takes, man, and it's not, it's working for you, go for it. What causes sty in the eye? Well, styes are usually a bacterial infection, can be caused sometimes, just by, rubbing your eyes and your immune system is not maybe right up to snuff and this kind of thing on styes. I remember getting them a few times when I was a kid. I don't think I ever got one as an adult, just when I was a kid. And usually, it probably didn't wash my hands properly. I don't know, Okay? Brenda, good question. Teresa, regarding the adrenal gland, is it associated with vasculitis? No. Well, no. No, it's not. Vasculitis is more to do with infection in the veins or the arteries, and it's usually the immune system and recurring infections, taking too many antibiotics, and I think that's what makes people prone to different problems like vasculitis. We see a lot more of that today. And I think it's the overuse of antibiotics, personally. Gloria, what causes urine to smell? Well, asparagus. No, but urine can be, different. A lot of times antibiotics will really change the smell. If you don't have enough friendly bacteria, your urine can smell. If it's strong and concentrated urine, you're not drinking enough, dehydration, not getting enough electrolytes. A lot of those things can bother and at least change that. But I would look at all those things, Gloria, okay? Shirley, what does Dr. Martin think of testing the pulse? Let me check mine. Look, of course, it's certainly a factor. It's an indicator, and I don't talk about it too much. I talk about checking your blood pressure. But I used to test people's pulse all the time. Here's what I found. When it was really, really low, almost invariably, they were having trouble with their thyroid. Sluggish thyroid often will do that. Shirley, good question. Noel, it is better to have large fish or small fish for the best DHA? Small fish, usually. Okay. Like sardines, whatever, very high in DHA. Okay. Now, I take DHA every day. Did you know that? I eat fish every day in a capsule. I'm not a big fish eater, okay? I wish I liked fish, okay? But I do, in a capsule. I take therapeutic doses of DHA. I do. If you saw the research that I see, it's incredible what DHA does. Your brain's made up of DHA. And you only get DHA from the animal fat, not from plants. It's not in there. Okay? Remember that. It's really important. So if you have family that are vegetarians, you have family that are vegans, you make sure they're taking a supplement of DHA because they're not getting it. They can fool themselves. And you know, there's no button on the top of your head says low in DHA, low in DHA. I wish there was, but there's not. But they are low in DHA, 100%. It's impossible to get it unless you're eating from the animal kingdom or supplementing. Okay. Good question. Thank you very much, Noel. Ada, can you discuss alcohol? Well, alcohol, look, I don't talk about alcohol too much, but I'm doing a big deep dive, and I promise to bring this to you on uric acid. Alcohol is a big factor on elevating uric acid, okay? And fructose, alcohol. Look, I would say, you know, because someone said, well, just eat everything in moderation. I'm not big on that. Because you don't need carbs and sugars. You really don't. I'm not saying you'll never eat them, but don't say eat everything in moderation. That comes to you from the food industry. Now, alcohol, be very careful, okay? Be very careful. Don't fool yourself. Alcohol is, you know, you got to be careful with it because it goes straight to the liver in a nanosecond. And, you know, that can be carcinogenic. But, you know, I got to tell you to be careful with it, that's all. Okay? I'm not telling you to be a teetotaler. But be careful. Okay, Ada? Melanie, what does low blood sugar have to do with metabolic syndrome? Well, listen. Very good question, Melanie. Okay? Let me do this quickly. Whether you have high blood sugar or low blood sugar, you got a problem with insulin. Now, I talked all week about what stress does to you, because cortisol, what it does, elevates blood sugar because you're uptight inside your body, and it elevates blood sugar, and then your insulin starts taking over and it brings that blood sugar down, and sometimes into the area of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, and you don't feel good. Up, down, up, down. And what these people tend to do is to eat more frequently and little snacks. I'm not big on that. I would rather you fix the overarching principle, and that is of metabolic syndrome, if you get that right. That's why the reset was created, to fix metabolic syndrome, to fix your insulin resistance, and then your blood sugars will level out. Now, it doesn't happen overnight if you've had trouble, especially with adrenal exhaustion, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, blah, 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 things like that. So, you know, it might take you some time, okay? Susan, what about the mineral boron? Well, I like boron. I put it in our hair formula. I don't like boron on its own. Like, people sometimes ask me that. I'm going to go get a supplement of boron. Good luck with that. On its own. I like it in a mixture. So I have it in two formulas. I have it in my hair formula, and I have it in my blood boost. I put boron in there. It works really well when you put it with other minerals, okay? Mark, after the reset, should we stay on keto? Doing a keto, stop for a week, then going back to keto, causing problems, Mark? Look, you know me. I'm always going, I'm not big on keto, okay? I know the term, I know what it means, I understand it 100%, but I'm not that big on keto, because keto means you're going into ketosis. And I would rather that you eat, once you come off the reset, stick to the plan of really making the vast majority of your food eggs, meat, and cheese. See, the problem with keto is very low carb, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's nutrient dense. Because you get keto foods, like go to Costco, go to the grocery store, keto. And then you look at the nutrients in there, there's not much. And a lot of times there's soy protein, there's stuff like that. I don't like that stuff. But if you want to eat low carb the rest of your life, which you should, and implement some vegetables after the reset and some fruit, limited, I got no problem with that. Yeah, I wanted to make it lifestyle. And you'll find out, but like most people do, me and carbs don't get along that well. Now that I know the difference after I've done the reset, and I find how much better I'm feeling, okay? So good question. Oh, wait, a couple of more gotta go. Susan was asking about the boron. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop there. There's a couple of other questions, but I'll touch them on them next week. Okay, so guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate it, and share this, with your friends, and we'll see you soon.